tell us so much.
Yeah.
If the Rogue does come in just flooding with Ling Baneling, I guess kind of what Dark did in his one map victory versus Maru, and it's the first game, I do feel like it's just going to snowball in his favor. That does apparently is what Rogue does, but Maru, even stronger than the past is what it feels like. Some of those late games versus Dark make me so darn confident. Are we going to get those exact same games? Well, definitely not, actually. Rogue and Dark being two different styles of players, but I guess I would say maybe I'm thinking if it goes beyond 12, 13 minutes, then I actually do favor Maru, but I am worried about the mid-game, and I guess I'd get that to Rogue.
Yeah, I think Rogue's mid-game can be very, very scary, but Maru does have that tendency to just sort of say, oh, I'm in a bit of trouble here, turtle up.
Yeah.
Just sit back and defend. I was casting these two playing on 2,000 atmospheres last week, and Rogue actually played Ling Bane Muta, which, to begin with, I was surprised about. I was like, Mutalisks, really? And Maru's like, oh, crap, these Mutas, they're all over my bases. It's like 12 minutes in the game. He's like, right, let's just defend. Double turret my mineral lines, command centers down, and Rogue's like still attacking into him, harassing him, and Maru's just taking no damage, and Maru's like, okay, now I kill you. And Rogue was like, what? And he really did just die, so yeah, that's the one thing I do like about Maru, maybe about getting through the mid-game, is he does have a tendency to say, look, this is the moment where I just need to be very defensive, and he can do that very well a lot of the time.
He's definitely good at recognizing when he needs to just take a step back or when he needs to actually put pedal to the metal, but it's Rogue that's going to be the one I think that's a bit trickier. We talk a lot about this matchup when we're usually looking at the Terran build orders to kind of dictate the pace of the game the first 7 minutes or so. But for me, it is more, can Rogue do some sneaky things? Like, if he's going to play straight up roaches and make that the expectation, I think Maru has already proven that he's totally fine against that. He already can play against someone who is playing roaches, right? But there's sneakier things that you can do to either get into roaches or go out of roaches. I think Rogue's certainly capable of that in a best of 7. And then, yeah, obviously can go into Ling Baneling and Muta. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see Mutas make an appearance either maybe here, maybe on some of those larger maps down the road, or maybe even Blackburn, where it seems to be effective enough still as a surprise. You know, every so often Mutas come back into the matchup, but it still feels like the majority it's not the case. So the Terrans always have to be like kind of shaken a little bit first. And they're like, all right, yeah, Mutas are a thing. Got it.
Absolutely. Starport goes to that tech lab here nice and early in this first game. He goes straight to a Banshee. So Maru is just like, I do not want to die to anything. I'm kind of surprised to see that on 2,000 atmospheres. I thought maybe he'll play Banshee on some of the later maps, but I thought for the first map he'd just open like 3CC, maybe like Hellion Viking or Hellion Liberator. But no, straight into that Banshee, wants to be safe, can of course pressure from there as well. As he comes in, a Reaper goes down. A couple of Hellions do get pushed away in the end after trading with Lings. The only thing I will say maybe about the Banshee is maybe it's something of a statement as well. Like, hey, look, I'm willing to play Banshee on this map, and that will be in Rogue's head for the rest of the series. Like, oh, you're willing to play Banshee on 2K. Maybe I can't be as aggressive on some of the other maps where I'm more likely to be aggressive.
Yeah. Actually, that's a very good point. Usually I would go along with the Terran narrative, which is that maybe they're a little scared of what Rogue could be doing. Could he actually been throwing some roaches that I wasn't quite able to scout, although actually Maru's scouting has been very on point. And then that would help make a defense, but the alternative is that he's saying it for the future. Like, you can't be 100% sure that I'm going to play, no second gas 3CC every single time, because I certainly don't think Maru is. But that's something that Rogue's going to have to deal with now as far as not taking damage, because while they're all well and good for defensive purposes, Banshees also have the potential to get upwards of 5-6 drones if the Zerg's not quite 100% on point. Even a bit more, actually, if the Zerg really is having a tough time getting back into the TVZ groove. But it looks like a couple of drone pulls away into the Spore Crawler, and the first Banshee, at the very least, isn't going to do a whole lot, as Rogue does slap down a Spire. This is, where is it? Maybe scouted by the Banshees? Maybe the Hellions at the front if they dip into the creep?
Yeah, right there.
That's pretty dangerous to actually go that far with Hellions. That's probably not going to be scouted.
It's a cool position to put it when he's up against the Banshees, right? And obviously what is nice about the Spire here is you're going to be basically on a timer with the Banshees. They can't stick around forever. This one might not get a chance to anyway. It just slips out of there. But it does put a timer on. They're not going to lurk forever. They're not going to be able to clean up creep and so on. You're just minimizing the effectiveness that Maru can find from these. And yeah, into Ling Bane Muta we go. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised because, like I said, I casted a game where Rogue played like this against Maru on this map a week ago. And it did not look good. Like, Maru just said, like, no way, not taking any damage. And Rogue kind of looked silly, and he straight up changed how he played against Maru the next 3 maps he met him. And it looked so much better for him, even though he only won 2 of those 3. All 3 looked way better. So kind of surprised to see the Mutas I guess we'll maybe see just how he wants to use that as maybe pacing for this series as well. Of course, with this style, he is relying on those to do damage because he's behind on his upgrades, so he needs the mutas to get in there, cause chaos, and just kind of mess up Maru's setup.
As much as we can go into, he knows that I know that he knows that I know as far as the Spire play goes, because that game was really recent. At the end of the day, it's very possible Rogue just liked the way that it put him, like, stylistically, pacing-wise, and that he saw something that he could fix, and still thought that it'd be a worthwhile way to open a best of 7 as the guys on the desk were talking about planting doubts in his opponent's mind about what am I going to do for an entire best of 7. You don't know. Maybe you know right now, but you're not going to know for second game, are you? So Rogue is just kind of like that, a bit of a trickster, but he's got the mechanics to back it up as well. So he's going to have the mutas fly across the map, start doing some damage. Actually, might keep them here to help out, but eventually they are going to go across the map and hopefully gain some momentum back on Rogue's side. This is actually a big creep cleanup. Overlord gets taken down as well. Marine stim backwards as the mutas take care of everything by the looks of it. Of course, with the help of the Lings and the Queens, even a transfuse going down, but Banshee's very well placed to stop any type of run by while Maru was focusing on the front lines. And now the mutas. There it is. Mutas now have gotten a little bit of control, and they'll always be a threat for Maru. In fact, right now, they're still being a threat. It's not quite enough Marines to chase these down.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a little bit brutal. The Widowmine's going to unburrow on that third base, but Maru needs to start stabilizing. This is where the mutas are just going to get so much done. Those Widowmines were deadly as well, and not quite for the right player as Combat Shields is finished up. But yeah, you need to get this under control. With 8 more mutas on the way, Rogue might just be running away with this. He needs to do serious damage, though. We still talk about upgrades. He still hasn't started his own 1-1, so he needs to be here doing stuff like this, but he is.
I mean, this actually might be very intentional. Maybe not initially. He did plan on starting up that 1-1 he has with Evolution Chambers, but then saw a moment where he said, hey, this actually isn't going so poorly. Let's continue with this momentum. He certainly doesn't have enough gas to start up upgrades. He puts everything into these mutas, looking to continue the snowball. Even as he loses drones, he is still piling on the pressure. The Marine count, not stable enough. Yes, they finally have combat shields, but the numbers aren't there. The medevacs really aren't there, and Maru's supply cannot get above 90 as Rogue just sends hordes of Lings across the map. Is he actually going to do it with mutas right here?
He really, really is. I mean, that first attack of Maru getting cleaned up and just no stabilizing. I think what you mentioned about delaying those upgrades purposefully, it's masterful from Rogue. He says, look at how much I've done, look at what I've got. If I just keep spamming units, I can absolutely just overwhelm you here.